Welcome to this explainer. Right, let's just jump straight into it. We're untangling a completely fascinating and honestly kind of maddening economic mystery today. What exactly happens when national wealth completely disconnects from personal well-being? We constantly see all these headlines celebrating economic success, yet for some reason, everyday bank accounts feel completely empty.
Okay, let's dive into this paradox. Picture this. You've got politicians up at podiums, beaming, proudly announcing record GDP, exports going through the roof, and corporate profits hitting all-time highs. And then, millions of ordinary people look at their grocery bills, their rent, their heating costs, and feel like life is literally just getting harder. It begs a really huge question. If Britain is getting richer, why don't we feel richer? It's absolutely crucial to figure this out, because a country can expand while leaving its citizens completely in the dust.
It's a bizarre split screen we're looking at. On paper, sure, the UK appears to be thriving. It's a global financial engine. It's driven by advanced manufacturing, tech hubs, the whole shebang. But in real life, the everyday experience tells a vastly different story. It's a story of survival, of just trying to pay the rent, keeping the heat on in winter, and affording basic groceries.
So we call this the growth paradox. We're always told that a rising tide lifts all boats, right? Well, actually, scratch that. Because in practice, GDP can rise simply because asset prices soar, or maybe the financial sector just had a really great quarter. None of that guarantees that a single drop of that wealth is going to trickle down to average wages. The rising economy is just failing to lift everyone equally.
And it all boils down to one incredibly frustrating realization for the average worker. The country's doing better, but I am not. People don't benchmark their lives against abstract macroeconomic charts. They look at their own fading stability. They look at the people around them. So hearing that the economy is booming while their own struggle remains exactly the same, it creates a deep, rational anger.
The math behind this misery is actually pretty straightforward. If the cost of everyday life shoots upwards significantly faster than wages, you can live in a supposedly growing economy and still get poorer every single year. It's crazy, but every little pay bump gets instantly swallowed by inflation, leaving workers worse off in real terms.
Let's look at how this squeeze happens on the ground. Starting with the absolute biggest weight crushing disposable income today, housing. If the economy grows but housing supply stays tight, the benefits of that growth just hyperinflate property values. Meanwhile, wages are left completely unbalanced, desperately struggling to keep up.
When those wages lag behind inflation, everyday pressures just relentlessly stack up. We're talking unaffordable rent, soaring commuter fares, council tax, volatile energy bills, costly childcare. Even a basic run to the grocery store can feel like a minor financial heist these days. Suddenly, basic things like taking a family holiday, paying for a school trip, or just getting a new phone feel entirely out of reach. It's literally death by a thousand cuts, and that's what makes the feeling of being poor so pervasive.
This creates a brutal, glaring divide. Those who already hold assets like property or stock portfolios get richer on paper without even lifting a finger. Meanwhile, young workers and first-time buyers are left staring up at shiny new development cranes, completely locked out of the very assets driving the nation's wealth. They are constantly told they live in a richer country, but their disposable income is just devoured by rent.
But hey, the feeling of poverty isn't just about personal wages or your housing costs. It is massively shaped by the state of our public systems.
Think about it. A wealthy country can still feel incredibly poor if its citizens are forced to spend their own money to plug the gaps of failing public services. If you have to pay out of pocket for private health care, or extra tutoring, or emergency home repairs because local systems are overburdened and underfunded, your prosperity is leaking out. The nation grows, sure, but the household absorbs the cost.
And this brings us to a really fascinating psychological reality. Because the perception of poverty isn't just a math equation, it is fundamentally about insecurity. It's not only about what is in the bank today, it's about the intense, gnawing anxiety of tomorrow.
You can earn what looks like a totally solid salary on paper and still feel miserable if you're just one missed payment away from a crisis. Feeling poor in a modern wealthy country isn't always about total, utter deprivation. It's about constant pressure. It's endless financial calculations, and the exhausting fear that one bad month, one unexpected bill, could just undo everything.
Because that pathway to building actual wealth feels blocked off, we are seeing a deeply demoralizing effect taking hold. It's what we could call the suspended life. Young adults are being forced to put traditional milestones of stability completely on hold. Moving out, getting married, buying a home, having kids, even planning for retirement, it all just gets pushed back. They work harder, study longer, yet feel totally stuck in a suspended reality.
It results in a brutal tale of two Britons. We have highly visible wealth, luxury flats and premium financial districts stretching into the sky, sitting directly next to invisible hardship. Overcrowded rentals, lines at food banks, and exhausted public workers. You know, you don't feel rich just because your city's skyline looks successful. You feel rich when you can easily pay your bills and finally stop worrying.
When an entire demographic feels excluded from their own national success, trust just decays, it evaporates. The political debate inevitably shifts from asking how much is the economy growing to who is that growth actually for? If a country keeps saying it's doing better, but daily life feels undeniably harder, that gap between the official story and the lived reality becomes a massive source of anger and division.
So, how do we fix it? Well, a smart government has to focus on converting wealth into actual well-being. GDP alone is a flawed metric. We have to measure success through real living standards, like building affordable homes where they are actually needed, ensuring fairer wages, and investing in public services that genuinely reduce out-of-pocket costs for families. Growth has to leave the spreadsheets and actually enter real life.
So, wrapping up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this one provocative thought to consider. If a nation keeps growing, the charts keep going up into the right, and the economy adds billions in wealth, but its people still feel poor, are we looking at an economic success story or a flashing warning sign?